Good morning. Oh dear, I'm a bit wobbly up there. Good morning. It is Tuesday, and that means it is time for First Chapter Fun because it's 11:30 Eastern, and this is the place, the new home for First Chapter Fun, where I, and with my partner in fictional crime, Hank Philippi Ryan, where we read new chapters, or the first chapter, I should say, the opening of a different book twice a week, every Thursday. Dear me, I'm not doing very well today. Every Tuesday and every Thursday at 11:30 Eastern Time. Right here on Facebook, on our Instagram group. If you have not joined, well, if you haven't joined, you're probably not watching, although you might be watching this on playback. But if you haven't joined, head on over, not now, but afterwards, head on over to the First Chapter Fun group and ask to join because we would love to have you. And at the same time, I am broadcasting down on Facebook. Oh, dang it, I'm really not doing well this morning. I'm out of practice. I am broadcasting on Instagram Live, also on our brand new account, First Chapter Fun. So easy to remember and easy to find. So don't forget that you are able to ask questions. We have Tara Laskowski, from whose book I'm reading today, and she is watching. Good morning, Tara. She's watching on Facebook, certainly, and perhaps down on Instagram. I have lots of people popping up, so this is great. So a couple of things. If you have not joined First Chapter Fun before, well, it started on March the 17th, where I read different books, the opening of a different book every day until May the 8th on my own author page on Facebook and on Instagram. And then the wonderful Hank Philippi Ryan said, why don't we continue this series together because it's so much fun? And so we have, and that's why we have this brand new Instagram account at First Chapter Fun and the brand new Facebook group, which already incidentally has almost 800 members in a week, which is astonishing. And I am so pleased and I'm so happy that you're here watching today. So we have Tara as well down here on Instagram. She says, ask me, hello all, I'm here, ask me anything. And for those of you who don't know, because Tara's watching, you can ask her questions. You can leave questions in the comments and she will answer them either as I'm reading or later on. She can always pop back. So yes, ask her anything. So good morning, everyone. Let me scroll back up. We have, of course, Hank, who's watching. Hi, partner. We have Jennifer. We have Like a Girl. We have Glennie. We have Michelle. We have Anita. We have Amanda. We have Megan. We have Jennifer Jumbo. Lots and lots of people. Hi from Linda in Hingham. Hi, Linda. Lovely to see you. And we also have Take the Day Off to Read. Now, Take the Day Off to Read has already posted a couple of book stacks inspired by First Chapter Fun. So if you have acquired, if you have borrowed, or if you have read or bought books that you found through First Chapter Fun, we would love to see pictures of them. That would be great. Please do that for us. We have Linda and Patty and Ali and Carol and Susan, and oh my gosh, we have so many people watching on Facebook as well. I can barely keep up. This is great. We have Ed too. This is just wonderful. I'm so pleased that you are enjoying this series and the continuation of this series. So let me tell you, see, I'm out of practice. I was doing this every day and now I'm out of practice. Let me tell you about Tara's book. So today I'm reading from this little beauty. Look at that cover. I know there's glare and I know it's back to front on Instagram because Instagram won't let you fix that, but Facebook will for whatever reason that escapes me. But I am reading the prologue and chapter 1 of One Night Gone. Doesn't that look eerie? I think so. It's brilliant. I love it. I'm hooked already. So, but first, as always, I always introduce the author and the book, and then I'll read you the opening. So I'm going to put my glasses on because otherwise I can't see. And I shall read. But before I do that, I should warn you, I just updated my phone, so fingers crossed it won't happen. But sometimes, particularly Facebook, boots me out. In the middle of when I'm reading, my screen just goes dark and I freeze on your end and lose the connection. So if that happens, it's not you, it's me, or it's the tech gremlins. And what I will do is I will continue broadcasting on the platform that allows me to do so and I will go back to the one that kicked me out and start all over again. So if you lose me, don't worry. Just, make yourself a cup of tea, cup of coffee or a sandwich or something, and then come back and I will start the broadcast all over again once I'm down on the platform that wasn't petulant. So hopefully it won't happen, but now I've said that, it probably will. All right, so Tara Laskowski, let me introduce you to her. One Night Gone, I'm going to show you the cover again. It is such a great cover, it really is. It's just so eerie, and I don't want to say inviting because it's creepy, but it's inviting to read, certainly. So this is the one I'm reading from today. All right. So this is her debut novel, One Night Gone, and it was a finalist for the 2020 Mary Higgins Clark Award. Tara won the Agatha Award. Congratulations, such fantastic news. And it was also nominated for a Lefty Award and was hailed by Tana French as a subtly but relentlessly unsettling novel. Tara was a long-time editor of the flash fiction journal Smoke Long Quarterly and had already won an Agatha Award for Best Short Story in 2019. She lives in Northern Virginia with her husband, writer Art Taylor, their son Dashiell, and their very cranky cat Izzy. Is Izzy Grumpy Cat? Maybe. We need to see pictures, don't we? And you will find her website on taralaskowski.com, and of course she's on Instagram as Binglish, and she is also on Facebook and Twitter. You will find her all her social media on her website. So let me show you the cover again before I jump into the prologue. And as always, we read, Hank and I, when we read from books, this is always with the author's permission, and it is always with the publisher's permission too. Excuse me. And today that is Harlequin, who have allowed us to read this opening for you. So this is One Night Gone by Tara Laskowski. And here we go. Prologue. Opal Beach, summer 1986. The girl tried not to look up into the hazy summer night, the seagulls circling overhead like giant paper airplanes. They made her dizzy. She focused on the horizon, the dark ocean churning, its vastness broken up by milky froths. Thomas, the guy from the party, was pressed up against her, his thighs tight against hers. She could feel the heat in her cheeks, but at least it was cooler here at the end of the pier, away from the lights and sounds, from the constant pop, 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 bling, bling of the arcade games, and the deafening roar of the Zipper, a ride she'd thrown up on last year and then sworn her friends to secrecy. Thomas dipped her back over the railing, not too far, but enough that she felt the danger, felt that if he just shifted his large hand an inch or so off her back, she'd fall, tumble like a tragic mistake. He laughed, pulling her back, his dewy breath catching in her hair. "Stop it," she said, batting at him, though she wasn't sure she meant it. She liked him. She liked the way he made her feel, important, funny, sexy. At the party, he'd said he was from the cornfields of Indiana, a state she would never tell him, that she wouldn't be able to point out on a map. He was tall like a cornstalk, she thought, and let that bubble up into a giggle on her lips as he swayed into her again and kissed it away. Their friends were on the other side of the pier, drinking beer they'd poured into empty soda cans, chattering away and tossing a frisbee. The guys flicked the disc so fast and low that she was afraid it was going to soar over the edge of the pier. It was as if they were all in a delicious dream that might never end, a pause on life, a stop freeze on a late summer moment where everything still felt good, right, forever. And this guy, this cornstalk Thomas, with white blonde hair curled by the salty air, his arms long and warm, and his breath in her hair and his tongue filling her mouth, and, oh, she was drunk. That was for sure. That had been their mission, all of her friends, 1 week before college. Get wasted. Let your hair down. Wasn't that what everyone came here for? She closed her eyes. When she opened them, a fluttering on the nearby post caught her attention. It was a piece of paper, tattered, clinging by one small piece of remaining tape. The wind slammed it back flat across the post, and she saw a girl's face, black and white, the word "missing" scrawled across the top. "Thomas," she said low, trying to push him off her. "Thomas, look." She couldn't quite make out the girl's name, printed in small type below her photo, but the girl's face, well, her eyes stared right at her, it seemed. Smiling shyly, a yearbook photo perhaps. "Remember me always, forever." The paper fluttered again, a pathetic flag, rippling, weak. "Someone's missing," she said. She tore her gaze away as Thomas untangled himself from her neck. He was smiling at her, his teeth so white. She pointed to the poster, and he reached out and steadied it for her. Now she could read it. The girl had gone missing the summer before. How long had this paper been hanging here? She straightened her thin bra strap. She could be any of us. She could be me. "No reward, though," he said, tapping the poster with a thick finger. Behind them, one of the guys hooted, and a peal of laughter echoed in the night. Thomas crinkled his nose. "How do they expect anyone to care without a reward?" The girl's eyes widened. Surely he was joking. This guy who just earlier, at a crowded party, had shamefacedly admitted he didn't know how to swim, who had seemed so crushed she was leaving in only a few days to go home. "Oh, come on," he whispered, burying his face in her neck. "No time for being sad. Not now." "Maybe she was already found," she said, more to herself than him. Thomas muttered what sounded like a "yes" in her ear. His fingers snaked into her shorts, and she wondered how far they would go tonight, and where. Another gust of wind, and the missing poster freed itself from the post, whipped around the pier for an instant, and butterflied into the darkness. The girl watched as it flitted to the ocean, wavered on the choppy surface. She closed her eyes, and when she opened them again, the paper had disappeared. Chapter 1. Alison, September 2015. "You'll feel like a new woman." That's what Annie said. The perfect opportunity to reinvent myself. Annie was raving excitedly, brushing her hair away from her face as we sat outside on the patio of Chez Monsieur, a name that sounded way fancier than the actual restaurant. Perhaps that was why I was sceptical of her enthusiasm. I was uncomfortable, distracted by the sucking sound that came each time I pulled my forearms off the sticky plastic tablecloth. And that loaded term, new woman. Was Annie suggesting that I was damaged? Perhaps I was sceptical of everything. Nothing worked out to be perfect. There was no perfect, no happy ever after, no happy ever, it seemed. Still, my younger sister was almost the only thing I had left, so I nodded, sipping my water from a filmy glass with only a few chips of ice, still withstanding the late summer Philadelphia sun. "The off-season at the beach," she said wistfully, staring off into our very un-beach-like surroundings as a taxi driver honked his horn and tossed a select finger at another driver trying to back into a space on the narrow street. "It's a great opportunity to relax, recoup, recover." She smiled reassuringly. "And the house! Oh, Alison, it's divine. You won't even believe it." I tried not to roll my eyes at my sister's undying optimism. "And I'm sure these heavenly people are just going to hand me over the keys, right? Without even checking up on my background?" I asked. A large cumulus cloud whipped over the sun, dimming the patio and turning the strong wind cold. An omen, my mum would say, but I quickly dismissed it. No. Annie leaned forward, and I caught my reflection in her large lenses, a hunched-over, thin waif of a person with hair too long for 40. Ever since I'd gone off air, I'd let it grow past my shoulders, though vainly I still dyed it every 5 weeks. I could never stand the grey roots. I sat up straighter, adjusted my chair. Annie was still going. Like I said, my friend Sharon knows the couple really well, and the town, she grew up near there. I can vouch for you, no problem. They want someone they can trust, not just someone off the street. Oh, Ali, it's so perfect for you. A chance to get away from all this. I thought about making a snide comment along the lines of, "You mean get me out of your apartment?" But that would have made her feel self-conscious about Mike, and I didn't want her to feel guilty for having a stable relationship. So instead I said, "Do you think I could really ever get away from any of it?" Because, contrary to what Annie believed, despite the protests she was now making at my negativity, I didn't need to become a new woman. I needed to get back to the old me, the me I was before it all crashed. Yet in spite of my sarcasm and doubt, already, the idea was beginning to appeal. An oceanfront home, rent-free for the winter. The couple had just bought the place last year, but the wife's job was unexpectedly calling her abroad, and they didn't want the house to be vacant for that many months. But they also didn't want to bother with the mess of renting the place out, distrustful of random strangers trooping in and out of their home week after week. All the horror stories you heard about people renting their homes through Airbnb on the internet. "Do they use Google?" I asked, half joking. Annie just shook her head at me. "Alison, please don't." "YouTube? I'm just being practical." "You just need to see this house," she said, ignoring my comment. My sister had a talent for ignoring subjects she didn't want to discuss. It came as part of her nurse package: cute kitten-adorned scrubs, a cheery sing-song voice, and a no-nonsense attitude for dealing with grumbly, pessimistic patients. "The best medicine is a positive attitude," she always said, and I mostly admired it, though sometimes I wanted to do what one of her patients once did, dump a filled bedpan on her. She put up with a lot, but she always did it with a smile. 4 bedrooms, a back deck, a sunroom overlooking the ocean. You could use the time to relax or, figure out your next steps. The beach is a great place to study weather, right?" Annie snaked her hand across the table to squeeze mine, but I picked up my water glass and watched her pull her hand back. "Besides, you're doing much better." "Well, according to everyone else, that bar's pretty low, isn't it?" Annie ignored that too. She knew where this conversation was headed. It was a relief, really. I didn't want to talk about Duke anymore. The same ground over and over. "Just think about it, okay? We'll take a look tonight. They've got pictures. We have to act fast, though, because someone's going to snatch this up. I just know it. It's like a dream come true." It turned out that Annie wasn't exaggerating. Divine was a good word for Patty and John Worthington's beach house. Cosy, but also lavish. The place looked like it had morphed out of an issue of Architectural Digest. Wooden siding on the outside, cute A-frames. On the inside, an open living room with a ceiling that stretched to the top floor. A sunroom off the back with views of the ocean and a second-floor back deck with sun chairs. "Built in 1986, the online ad read. The house had an opulent charm, and I immediately fell in love. It was exactly what I needed. A chance to get away, a place of beauty to run to. "See, I told you." Annie squeezed my arm, shaking me until I broke into a grin. She squealed like she used to when we were kids and pressed snails or earthworms we'd found near the neighbour's pond into each other's palms. Or later, as teenagers, when we'd slip into each other's beds after a night out and whisper secrets about the guys we'd met, the way their clove cigarettes had smelled, sweet and smoky, the way their hands had nestled onto the smalls of our backs. Annie would giggle, her face pressed into her pillow, then sit up, hair streaming around her, eyes gleaming in the moonlight with all the possibility. We'd always been each other's ears. there to absorb both the delights and the horrors. So when Duke betrayed me, Annie was the one to help me pick up the pieces. Annie kissed the top of my head and jumped up from the couch. "I'm going to call Sharon." I sat back and closed my sister's laptop, staring up at the ceiling of her little apartment in Manayunk, my home for the last 9 months. This was not where I was supposed to be. This was not in any of the New Year's resolutions I'd sketched out each year in my leather-bound planners. I was supposed to be in Annapolis, living in the large single-family home not far from the water, giving the morning weather report on WDLT Annapolis with a beaming smile and a jaunty flair, married to Dennis Duke Shetland. I was supposed to be finding tile to remodel our kitchen, planning a trip to Greece, fighting with my mother about not having kids. In other words, turning 40 with a husband, house, job and friends, like everyone else I knew. Instead, I had regular appointments with a divorce attorney, sleeping pills, antidepressants, jaw pain, and a tiny bedroom my little sister let me crash in while I sorted out my life. Instead, for the first time in my adult life, my compass was twirling around and around, unable to find direction. Maybe the house was the solution, a chance to prove I was just fine, to show everyone, including myself, that I was no longer the Alison puddle toxic hot mess that I had been for the past year. In a new space, I could get perspective. Annie's apartment had its charm, with her stacks of dog-eared paperback books, colourful Afghans over every chair, cross-stitch framed inspirational quotes posted slightly askew in the halls. "You can't see the sunshine with your eyes closed." But it was nowhere close to the breathing room I'd have in a 3-story house right on the coast. I tried not to, but I started to get excited. An actual new start. The possibilities were whirling inside me, gaining momentum like a tropical storm gathering strength just off the coast. I could use the time to figure out my next steps, as Annie had said, repair the self-confidence that Duke had systemically filed down to a small sliver. Find a new job or take a class. I could start a blog. My lawyer had told me to bump up my online presence with good things, positive things that would push the bad stuff down in the search results. "Page 2, my lawyer had chanted. "Your goal is to get them to page 2. Do you know what the percentage is of people who click to page 2 of the search results? It's low, Alison, very low." How sad my goals and aspirations had become. That was chapter 1 of One Night Gone by Tara Laskowski. And you know what? I realised I messed up because I told you I was out of practice. I didn't read you anything about the book. I read Tara's bio and I didn't read the back copy. So I'm going to do that now. Sorry about that. So One Night Gone. It was the perfect place to disappear. One sultry summer, Maureen Hadaway arrives in the wealthy town of Opal Beach to start her life anew, to achieve her destiny. There she finds herself lured by the promise of friendship, love, starry skies and wild parties. But Maureen's new life just might be too good to be true, and before the summer's up, she vanishes. Decades later, when Alison Simpson is offered the opportunity to house-sit in Opal Beach during the off-season, it seems like the perfect chance to begin fresh after a messy divorce. But when she becomes drawn into the mysterious disappearance of a girl 30 years before, Alison realises the gorgeous homes of Opal Beach hide dark secrets. And the truth of that long-ago summer isn't even the most shocking part of all. I'm sorry, I should have done that earlier. So out of practice. That was One Night Gone, the prologue and first chapter of One Night Gone by Tara Laskowski. And Tracy Clark, hi Tracy, she says, "Over already, boo, I think we need second chapter fun too." Yeah, we're going to have all book fun, the whole book fun. But no, we won't do that. But I hope you enjoyed that chapter. There's so many comments. Don't forget that Tara has been watching, and you can leave comments for her on Facebook, and certainly right now on Instagram until I finish the broadcast, and then it will be on the feed as well. I'll make sure it's on the story, I'll make sure it's on our Instagram feed, and I hope you really enjoyed that chapter. I certainly did. It's just, you just know bad stuff's going to happen. I mean, just the cover alone is super ominous, but the prologue and the first chapter, what happened to these girls and what's going to happen to Alison? Is she going to disappear too? What happened? I don't know, but I want to know. So that was today's episode. On Thursday, we have this little beauty, The Last Resort by Marissa Stapley. That will be Thursday's read at 11:30. A brilliant book also, came out last year. And One Night Gone, of course, is available now across all platforms. So I hope you'll join us for First Chapter Fun on Thursday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time, as always, on our Instagram account at First Chapter Fun and in our Facebook group, First Chapter Fun as well. If you haven't followed us on both platforms and joined the group and following us on Instagram, please do, because we love seeing you all every time we broadcast. We have Dale, who was a regular watcher, I think right from episode 1, who says, "Thank you, Hannah, love this, miss the dailies." I know, I read daily, but it was a bit much, so it was easier to drop down to twice a week, and that way it builds a little bit of suspense. And don't worry, we have twice weekly readings lined up until we're lining them up into November right now. So we're going to be sticking around, and I hope that you will too. So it will be on Thursday again, the next episode, 11:30 a.m. I hope that you'll join us. And until then, as always, please stay safe, stay kind, and we'll see you on Thursday. Thank you for watching.